It's me, a new host. I am Shelby Nelson, and I am the Veterans in Residence Entrepreneur Experience Manager at VIR. And we are really excited today to welcome you to another edition of Bunker Office Hours, a weekly live show brought to you by Bunker Labs, a national network of veteran and military spouse entrepreneurs dedicated to helping the military connected community start and grow their own businesses. We know that 25% of transitioning service members want to start a business and need places inside their community where they can connect with people, resources, and the support they need to grow their business. So here at Bunker Labs, we're doing all we can to provide that platform. So we are really excited to have you. I'm going to turn it over to Amy to talk about the amazing stuff we have going on this week. Amy, over to you.
Thanks, Shelby. We've got a lot going on this week. So we're going to start with Breaking Barriers in Entrepreneurship 8-week workshop series. Applications are open through April 3rd. So early stage startups, get your apps in for that. And then we've got the Ambassador Program applications are open starting today through April 15th. So if you want to be a community leader in your community, get your app in for that. And then Veterans in Residence applications are open for the July cohort, which we will be talking about extensively today. And then more applications. USAA 100-year anniversary pitch competition applications are opening March 21st. So that's not quite open yet, but there is an interest form if you want to check that out. That one is for the DC pitch competition. And then last but not least, we have our first Bunker Connect networking event in the Miami area on Tuesday, March 22nd from 5 to 7 p.m. So Miami, y'all been talking. Y'all better go to this Connect and get together because you've been asking for a VIR, or not a VIR, a community, a Bunker Labs community in Miami for years. So get on that.
Yep. Say hi to Edwin. He's one of the best people out there and that part of the coast and representing the community. Hi Danelle. I'm so excited to see you. Yes, let's grow. Hi Frank. Thank you all for joining us. We have a topic today that's very near and dear to my heart because it is one of the programs in Bunker Labs that helps so many entrepreneurs every 6 months grow their businesses. So we have a very exciting guest here with us today, Ann Cardona. Ann, welcome. You are the director of the entrepreneurship programs, including Veterans in Residence. So we're going to get into it today. We're going to answer the questions and answer anything that people are wondering about for Veterans in Residence of, should I apply to this thing? What is this thing? Why should I do it? So, Ann, would you mind telling us just a little bit about Veterans in Residence today?
Yes, thanks, Shelby. Shelby is my partner in crime with Veterans in Residence, along with Jake Tozier, and they are a phenomenal team, and we're growing our team every day. So we're excited to serve you guys. Our Veterans in Residence program is a business incubator that provides veteran and military spouse entrepreneurs and business owners with co-working space, local community, and a national business network. And it's targeted support to help grow their businesses. One of the key differences between Veterans in Residence and other incubators is that the entrepreneurs set their own goals for the program. So there's a lot of incubators, there's a lot of accelerators and different types of programs. The biggest differentiator between Veterans in Residence and some of these other programs is, number one, it's free. We don't ask for any equity. We don't ask for any money. We just want to help you guys. And also, you guys get to set your goals for the program. And we look at those, we review those, and then we try to make those connections and resources to get you to that goal. We've got people from all different industries. We've got people from all different backgrounds. But the one commonality that we have is we're looking for companies that are early stage. We're looking for, you've established an entity, you are ideally starting to get a little bit of traction, but you're really trying to get more sustainable amount of customers and clients. Maybe you're trying to launch that MVP. You're almost there. Maybe you're trying to raise enough capital to get those products going, but you're early stage and you're trying to get that traction, or maybe you have a little bit and you're trying to get to that growth stage where you have your model established and you're going and you're growing and you're ready. So that's a little bit about veterans and residents and what makes it different from some of the other programs out there.
Yeah, and you know, we've worked within this program for a couple years, but knowing that some people who are tuning in today may be totally unfamiliar, you mentioned the community. Can you talk about a little bit what sets the Bunker Labs community apart for this program from maybe other incubators, like you said, and what makes us special?
Yes, so very important to note is we've got our cohorts or our communities broken down by cities. So we are hoping to have probably close to 27 individual cities this go round. We'll see how many applications we get for it, and then probably 3, maybe even 4 virtual cohorts. And each of those is comprised of 8 to 10 entrepreneurs in those cities. So you'll get the local connection, but what's amazing about Bunker and that you really don't see in too many of these incubator programs is then you can tap into that national network, because these 27 cities are all across the US. And when you tap into those virtual cohorts, they're all around the world. And we've got this greater network of resources and connections and funders and sponsors that are all across the nation and all across the world as well. So when you're tapping into Bunker, you get that local network. But if there's something that you need to reach out to our national network for, we have industry meetups monthly where it's everybody across the nation joining us, and you get to talk to people all across those industries. And you have your very own white glove concierge, Jake Tozier, who's your resource manager that I have not seen in other programs, where if you can't find a local resource, you just send a note out to Jake, and Jake will get with you and find you that resource or that connection and point you in the right direction. And that's something, and he's 100%, he answers 100% of every request, and he's been successful with all of our requests so far. So you guys bring your tough questions and tough ask, and we have that for you to get you to that next level.
I love it. Yeah, it's really, you know, the network that I've seen come from this years and years of cohorts after cohorts, and everyone is like willing to help. I mean, it's local, but it's also national. I know you talked about those industry meetups that happen, so they're virtual on Zoom. To see like the business partners and the mentorship that comes out of that, it's really special. This actually, Wallace has a great question that is a nice lead into another good point, is kind of expanding on who should apply. So do you have to be a startup? Can you be a small business? Can you be maybe a little more established? Like, where's the line drawn at, Anne?
Yeah, so we're looking at companies that are between 0 and 150,000 dollars in revenue are kind of our ideal folks. It doesn't mean that we don't take people that are making 200 or 300 or more $1,000, but we kind of, again, just want to make sure that you'll be able to benefit and relate to our other cohort members. We don't want somebody that's making $1 million in revenue and looking at trying to stage an exit next year. That's probably not going to be the right fit. But for small businesses that are, you know, don't feel like they've hit their stride, they're maybe still under 90,000 a year, but maybe they've been in business for 2 or 3 years, you can still apply and you still might be a really great fit, and we can give you those connections and resources to maybe get you to that next hire that you need, or to make that partnership to reduce your manufacturing cost, or whatever it is that you need. So just because when I say early stage, that's kind of what we're looking at, is you could still be early stage and have been in business for a few years and be inside of that window. Um, so yes, we got startups, small businesses from, again, all kinds of sectors. Some of the other things we're looking for is bandwidth. So our huddles are 90 minutes a week, and those are each week, and then we have, of course, master classes and industry meetups on top of that. So if you have time, if you're still kind of within that threshold of maybe you want to get over that income threshold, and you're trying to find some partnerships and some resources to get you to that next level, the program can certainly be a good fit.
Yeah, and I think that's another thing too that you mentioned, which is, industry agnostic. So we had a question come in from Michelle's like, is it industry specific? And do you want to talk about what makes us unique in that way too?
Yes, so we don't have, our cities are not industry specific. So um, it's a mix of people. We've had people from tech sector, we've had people healthcare, we have people with consumer product goods, we have people in consulting, we have them from all across the board. And that's okay, because sometimes we've gotten feedback that hearing people in different industries and the different ways they tackle problems and the different things that they're working on can sometimes really expand how you're thinking about your particular problem. But then we do have those industry meetups once a month where you're able to meet with other people who are maybe tackling very similar issues in maybe similar ways, or looking at trends that can kind of clue you into, this is something I've been seeing going on. Have you guys seen it? Has anybody tried it? What are you working on? So it's nice to have a mix of those two. And a lot of folks, when you're in this kind of early stage, you're looking for very similar resources and connections in that local community. So even though you're not in the same industry, you're able to make those connections of who are you using for a bookkeeper, who are you using to set up your who did you use to set up your LLC? Maybe if you're looking for a different way to incorporate, you have people that can pass along those people that really help in that community. Again, manufacturing, maybe you're looking for paper goods,
Yeah.
swag, whatever it is. A lot of people are kind of getting set up, hires, people who are maybe doing your social media, whatever. You can really kind of collaborate and find those ways to help each other out.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's, we talk about this a lot at Bunker of it's so lonely to do this. Like this path that we've chosen is hard, and you can only ask your family or friends or significant others like questions or help so much, and sometimes you're just looking for people that are in it with you and have been there and kind of know the struggles. And it's one of my favorite parts of the program to see those connections built across all industries. And yes, there's 100% opportunity to talk with other people, and some of the best relationships formed are in industries. I know Donnell, he did a shout out to our meetup that we have this Wednesday for the current cohort, an industry meetup, and we have over 200 companies in this cohort. It's think about those connections that can be made and doors opens. Bob, I saw you had one question about if you are a sole proprietor. It's a great question, and you want to address that?
Yes, so that it I've mentioned LLC a couple of times, and I'm trying to get away from that habit. It's kind of the default, but everybody, if you're a sole proprietor, it's fine. 501(c)(3). If you're somehow have managed to make yourself a B Corp, like fantastic. We just want to. The reason we say that you have some form of entity is just to kind of, we want people that are have a good sense of direction in where we're going. We're not looking for people that are still very much in ideation and are like, I think I want to start a business, and so I'm going to apply for veterans and residents and just kind of have them help me along. That's not good. We have our Launch Lab online program that's really better suited for if you're still in ideation, trying to figure out if this makes sense for you, if entrepreneurship makes sense for you, if your business idea makes sense. Test it out in Launch Lab first. And then if you decide that that makes sense and you want to move forward and start incorporating, reach out to us. We're happy to help you get those resources to help you do that. And then once you kind of get that going, you can apply for veterans residence. I will say one thing about 501(c)(3)s. We have had people who put down that they're not legally incorporated yet. And I just want to make sure you make a note that if you've filed your papers, especially, it takes a little bit longer for nonprofits to get those particular designations. We still want you in our program. And so if you have filed and it's something hasn't come back through, we will still work with you and just make sure you make a note. Let your local ambassador know if you haven't plugged in with them, so we can just make sure we get you in those programs.
That's a great comment, Anne. Thanks for clarifying. Let's get into the weeds a little bit on what the 6 months is like. So, as we know, WeWork is an amazing partner in this program. We partner with them to provide workspace for the entrepreneurs that come into the program. And do you want to talk a little bit more about kind of what that membership looks like, what it entails, and the requirements that come along with it?
Yeah, so we have an amazing partnership with WeWork. So one of the perks of being in our program is you get a WeWork All Access Pass. So our next cohort is going to start on officially. You'll get your WeWork space July 1st, but our program will kind of kick off on July 7th. So that way you guys have time to celebrate 4th of July holidays, and we don't get in the middle of that. But you'll get an all access pass to WeWork, which means you can go to any WeWork in the world and be able to have a hot desk and use those resources. Because we have a lot of folks that are really traveling and doing business. So you'll have always your home base wherever you're located, but you can use that pass wherever you go. And along with that comes some really awesome access to WeWork Labs, which gives you all kinds of connections and discounts there. And I will give a shout out to our amazing partners that we have with Bunker Lab side too, which is we've got Amazon Web Services, we've got HubSpot for startups, we've got Google for startups, and we have these really great discounts that you can get when you're in the program. To again, a lot of these earlier stage companies, you're thinking about maybe starting a CRM, like how can that help me get to the next level? HubSpot can help you with that. If you need some cloud services or some web services through Amazon, they are giving our cohort members $10,000 in credits for multiple years to use. So there's some really great ways that we can kind of give you a boost up when you're kind of first getting started.
Yeah.
Shelby, did you want to talk? Did you want me to talk a little bit more about the 6 months as well, and kind of what it looks like from month 1 to month 6?
Yeah, and I think like maybe what happens weekly and monthly together would be great, and then we can get into like some misconceptions. How's that sound?
Yeah, that sounds great. So I'll just touch on, so month 1, we'll have our orientation. We'll get you guys all set up with WeWork access. We'll WeWork come in and talk about all the great perks you have. We'll talk about the resources and make sure we get you guys all signed up for all the free money that you want to take advantage of and the discounts. We'll get those goal sheets in so we know what your goals are, and the huddles will be facilitated by a local facilitator, a local Bunker Labs ambassador. And so they'll look through there so they can really get to know you more intimately, start thinking about topics that they maybe want to have subject matter experts come in on. I always tell people it's ideal that you have your one huddle a month. You're talking about critical questions and crowdsourcing resources together, trying to tackle problems. And the next huddle, you'll have a subject matter expert come in and talk about something that's pertinent for you guys, maybe whether it's again, bookkeeping, or maybe it's marketing, or maybe it's SEO, or whatever it is that
All the
makes sense for you guys.
things. Yeah.
And then you've got your industry meetups once a month, where again you can all come together nationwide. You've got monthly master classes on topics where we bring in national guests for you guys to tune in. As we get into towards the end, we'll start working on you guys' pitches and making sure everybody knows how to talk about their business, articulate it, and ask for what they need. And at the end of the cohort, month 5, you'll do a showcase where you come together in your local community and get all those. You get to invite 10 people. So you start thinking about that 10 people that you're inviting to that showcase. We have you all come up, give your pitch for your company, let people know what you need, and make those connections there. So it's a really great way to say goodbye to our previous cohort members, and we'll welcome in our new cohort around month 5. And then you just last month, you're able to kind of use those last bit of resources you have in that WeWork space, and just make sure you're ready for your next step, and we will help you with that, whatever that is. If it's another program, or maybe you're moving into another VSO or ESO, we'll kind of give you some recommendations to help you move out and transition.
That's great. It's a lot to cover, and you did a very, very good job, Anne. So we did have a good question, and this is a kind of a great segue into misconceptions about the program. Does your whole team get WeWork membership? And like, let's say I have a co-founder or I have some subcontractors. Do they get membership as well?
So we only have one official membership per co-founder. So if you have 2 or 3 others that are part of your team, you can invite them as guests to come into the space with you, but they won't get their own individual cards. And we also say the official member is the one who's invited to come to the huddles. Because if we had 2 co-founders for every person, then that's like 16 people in a huddle, and it's not so intimate anymore. But I do always tell you they're welcome to come to our master classes and maybe even to our industry meetups as well. So you can bring them and have them come in as needed, but they're not going to be the primary member, and they're not going to be the person who's really participating in all those huddles.
Yeah, no, that I think it's very well put. And I kind of wanted us. I know we're coming up on time, and these questions have been great. So if anyone's watching and has a burning question, feel free to drop it in the chat, and we'll kind of get to it as we wrap up. But Andy, you want to talk a little bit about those huddles and like how to get the most out of it, and how to get the most out of the program as a whole, really?
Yes. So the biggest, if you think this is a big differentiator too, you're not going to come into the program and we're just going to walk you through step by step of how to set up a CRM or how to do something. It's not, again, it's very customized to your goals. So we don't set a goal out for the program. We do want to increase everyone's revenue. We would like to increase your hires. We want to increase your run rates and all of that. That's kind of universal, or help you raise capital. We're not going to give you funding, but we will help you if that's something you're looking for. But you have to set those goals, and you have to understand your business enough to be able to set those goals. So again, if you're in ideation and you're just like, I have no idea what I need to do next or where I'm going, we may need to go into Launch Lab and kind of work that out a little bit. You need to come in with an idea of what you need for your business and be able to communicate that. And when you come into the huddles, you also need to be able to be vulnerable about like, hey, I am really struggling with having an employee. Maybe you hired your first W-2 and you're like, I don't know how to manage them. It's and come with these kinds of issues. If you come in and you're not able to talk about your financials and you don't want to talk about your problems and address them, then you're not going to be able to get much out of it. And also be able to listen to others. If you just are focused on everything that's going on with your company and you're not able to kind of listen and help people with their problems, you're also going to miss out on that growth opportunity to say, hey, you know what? I actually do know a little bit about this. And you'll surprise yourself sometimes and build up some confidence. So you need to have some bandwidth to come in and be vulnerable, and take time to help others as well and share those resources, because it's all going to come around. That's part of building that ecosystem, is helping each other out, and then you'll get something in return, maybe not immediately, but it's all going to come around. So just knowing and understanding that that's the biggest thing you're going to get, is building that network, building that camaraderie. It's not about something very specific. Well, I need to, again, build out this here, and that may be something we can help connect you with, but that's not something you may get in that 90-minute huddle. The biggest thing you're going to get is the network and those connections that you need to continue to build, and have the people that you need to ask for your next problem that you encounter.
Yeah, no, I feel like we should call it like the orange rule now. It's like you get what you put into it, right? I mean, if you
Yes.
show up and you're vulnerable and authentic and willing to help, willing to listen, it'll be a great 6 months. And to kind of wrap things up, do we want to talk a little bit about when applications close and then what happens maybe after that to get to that final cohort number?
Yes, so I don't know, we should have started out with this, but applications are open. They're going to be open till the end of March, so please get your applications in. I'm sure they put a link in the chat for you guys, but if they haven't, I'm sure they'll put it again. So sign up after applications close on March 31st. I will review them. I'll take about a week to review all of them. We will get our top 20 narrowed down to our top 20-ish for the group interview. Group interviews will be in person this go round, unless for some reason there's something comes up that we can't. So you guys will have to come into WeWork. If you sign up for our virtual cohort, they will be virtual, because you do have that option. If you know that you're not close enough to a city to be able to use that, you can sign up for our virtual cohorts. We'll sign up for the city that's closest to you. You'll come into that WeWork, do a group interview. After our group interview, we will then narrow it down to our top 8 to 10 candidates, and you'll get notified who those final candidates are by, I think we had first week of May. You guys will be notified. So you have plenty of time to get ready for our showcase that we have on June 1st. And that's where we will officially welcome you guys and say, hey, they're coming in. And then again, we'll kick off your WeWork access on July 7th. So we got a little bit of drip campaign going on to have you guys finish your applications, come in for group interviews, come into a showcase, and then we'll officially kick it off. So you'll kind of get to come into the fold a little bit at a time prior to July.
Yeah. Whew. March, April, May, June, July. Here we go. Got it coming. Well, thank you so much, Anne. I know we kind of always like to wrap it up in our bunker tradition with any sort of book or helpful resource that you can recommend to the community. Do you have one to share with us today, Anne?
So I talk about her a lot, and I don't give her as many shout outs as I should. So I wanted to give a shout out to Kelsey Murphy in the Whiskey and Work podcast. She's really geared more towards women entrepreneurs and especially mom entrepreneurs, but her advice is really good universally. And if you go to her website, she's got this great morning routine planner that can be used for anyone. And a lot of her tips and tricks are just so simple, but can make such a big difference. And it's really refreshing because we have a lot of entrepreneurs out there that are really about, work, and hustle, and grind it out and 80-hour weeks. And sometimes that is necessary, but also know that if you don't have 80 hours and maybe you only have 10 or 15 or 20 hours, if you take some small steps and break things down, you can still really accomplish a lot. And there's a lot of entrepreneurs and third shift entrepreneurs that come to us in the program. And so I think it's a really great resource for those who maybe have a little less time, but aren't sure if they can make a difference. And you can. And Kelsey's a great one and a great podcast. Every episode is amazing. She's an amazing guest. So if you're looking for something new and refreshing, Kelsey is a great one to listen to.
I love it. That's such a good reminder, Anne. So we have the link to the Whiskey and Work podcast. It's below for me, but I think it's to the side. I'm not quite sure about this interface. But Anne, thank you so much for being on with us today. I did want to make a shout out. So instead of a book recommendation, I'm doing a Shelby twist. And I'm going to do a product shout out to a business in our ecosystem, which is Steezy Socks. You guys, they're the best socks. And they're so comfortable for, all types of leisure. We had Anthony is the founder of Steezy Socks, and he just actually graduated from our Breaking Barriers and Entrepreneurship program. 100% check that out. We have applications open for that as well. So if you're kind of beyond that idea stage and you're still trying to figure out how to get your footing before you think about going into VIR, Breaking Barriers and Entrepreneurship is specifically geared towards underrepresented groups in our community. So we have Black, female, Asian American, and Latinx groups that can take part in that. Steezy Socks, they're the best. I'm wearing them every day of my life. So that's my shout out. Also want to encourage everyone who's tuning in today to subscribe to the Transition podcast. That is Mike Stedman, who's usually your host here, is in charge of that. And he also has a newsletter every Tuesday and a podcast every Thursday. So he is working so hard to get you information that you need for your business. You can always leave a comment about each episode on Substack. And if you have any questions about your own venture, you can post that as well for Mike. And he's always looking for content and ideas and loves to learn, really what you guys are struggling with so he can put out the best content for you guys. So subscribe to the Transition Substack. We have the link to that. Oh my gosh, yes, Donnell. We need to get the Steezy Socks at the Veterans Business Expo. We'll make the connection. I love it. Thank you all for tuning in. I'd also like to acknowledge our virtual event sponsor, MetLife Foundation, who's committed to supporting veteran and military spouse entrepreneurs. In addition, the foundation also provides mentorship and financial health resources to veterans and military spouses transitioning into the workforce. So that is an amazing resource. Definitely take advantage. Again, MetLife Foundation is also a presented sponsor of the Transition podcast. where we demystify the entrepreneur experience for veterans and military spouses of early stage and small businesses. You can listen on iTunes, Spotify, or favorite podcast platform. I'm into Spotify these days. I didn't know that they did podcasts, so that's what I learned this past week. And we definitely appreciate if you subscribed and rated it. And of course, if you want to get plugged into the Bunker Labs community, maybe you're totally new to this, we want you to visit bunkerlabs.org. You can learn all about the things that we mentioned, very quickly in this half hour. Launch Lab Online, Breaking Barriers, Veterans and Residents, CEO Circle, Ambassador Program, all the things. We're doing everything this month. And we're really, we have everything designed for you along your entrepreneurial journey. We also have an amazing community where you can get together virtually across the United States and all over the world, really. And that's bunkerlabs.org/communities. And, we're here to help. We're going to help you take your idea to invoice, position you to grow alongside other founders and CEOs, and just be there to support you along this crazy journey that we call entrepreneurship. So, Anne, thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you all for tuning in, and we'll see you next week.